Half a day, and welcome to this episode of Women's Rising. My name is Miracle Magal. I'm the president of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, and today I am blessed with three beautiful women to join me with our panel today. In this panel today, we're going to talk about what it means to lead, care, build, and keep showing up in seasons in our lives. I guess I'm going to start with it. My name is Miracle. As the president of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce and a mother of two children, I find myself looking for balance in terms of my job, my business, and being a mom. So I'm very excited for this panel because I have three women who all inspire me, but also I look up to in many ways. So without further ado, I would love to introduce them. With this question, can you please introduce yourself, share the work you do or the role you play in our community, and tell us in this conversation, how do you blend ambition, motherhood, and success? And what does that mean to you right now? I know it's a very long question. I'll be interrupting every now and then.
Okay, my name is Marnie Shaman. I consider myself a jack of all trades, master of none. I dabble in a lot of things, but the things that I do for paid work are I run a Lego club called Mini Builders Club. I offer like evening programs for parents as like a drop-off event, but I'm also moving into mobile field trips, so like a field trip that comes to your school, and then also corporate team building using those same building blocks and toys. But I also teach Pilates, I teach yoga, I substitute teach, I teach dance at Skip. So what I like to say is I call them my jobbies because they're like hobbies, but I get a little bit of money from them. So they're my jobbies. But my husband used a term that I was like, oh, that fits. He said, you're a micro entrepreneur. I was like, okay, I like that. Yeah.
So I'll pass it over to Pika.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Pika Farron. I am a wife, mother of four, and maybe a serial entrepreneur. If we're gonna try to define that. I got started in the restaurant business. We opened Pika's Cafe about 16 years ago. We've since moved on, opened various other restaurants, but today my main efforts, I guess, are at Market Deli inside Payless in Mighty. And we also have Denancy Hot Sauce, which we manufacture. We work with a lot of our local farmers for the hot peppers. And then I'm also the CFO for a cannabis business in California. So that definitely keeps me nice and busy. That's me in a nutshell.
Tia?
I'm Tia Munya Uggan. I'm a wife, mom of four as well, an entrepreneur and the owner of Waidua Wellness. So I wear a couple of different hats. I'm a life coach, a soul guide, and a birth worker, full spectrum doula. And I work with women in seasons of transformation. So in the coaching world, that looks like holding space and working on the subconscious mind. We look at belief systems, patterns, cycles, and really like the stories running behind the scenes for all of these different years. And then imprint new pathways, so that way we're stepping into seasons and things that we actually want, new belief systems and mindset shifts that we want to walk in. And then in the birth world, I work with women through postpartum, labor, delivery, and in pregnancy. And I educate, advocate, and empower them to really show up in the spaces that are meant to care for them. So that way they can have empowered birthing stories and whatnot.
I guess for the follow-up question, I want to kind of bring it back to the idea that motherhood, success, and ambition can blend together and move forward together. So I kind of wanted to ask, maybe in a short answer from all of you, like, where do you see yourself right now in that juggle act and blending of motherhood, success, and ambition? Because all three of you are very different, but all three of you are also very successful, but also with that comes ambition to keep pushing forward, right? So where's that juggle at right now? What's the story what would you like to share right now?
Yeah. So the phase of life that I'm in right now is have a high schooler, have a fifth grader, and a lot of these little jobbies. But I'm wanting to build more with the mini builders. And I am in a, I would say, creative exploration with that, because I have all of these tools, all of these toys that kids play with, but my thought was, this is a lot of resources and they just sit there most of the time. Like, what other ways can I use what I have to create more opportunities and income for myself? So that's where I'm at.
Oh, love it. Okay, so I'd say the phase of life that I'm in right now with motherhood and my career and my ambition for the businesses, I'd probably say this is the best I've ever felt about all of those arenas. We built the businesses so long. We've had to close a couple businesses, but then we really landed on our feet with Market Deli and then building the hot sauce. I feel like success for me is just the time I have every day. So I'm able to carve out enough time for my businesses in a way that I know supports my team that's doing a lot of the hard work. And then I also have a lot of time to spend with my kids. So my youngest is 11, and then I have a 14-year-old, 17-year-old, and a 23-year-old. And for the first time, we're all living in the same house. And it's beautiful, like to have such a full house with the kids. And I'd say success for me is because I am an entrepreneur and I'm able to make my own time with work, and I do work from home, then that means I can be a lot more present with my kids and put in the time with them, check in with them every day, go do fun stuff. I'd say that's where I am.
Thank you.
Oh, I love that so much. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
It resonates. So the season that I'm in right now is a busy one. I have 4 kids, so I have a 1-year-old, 5, 8, and a 10-year-old. And we just wrapped up the school year, so we're entering summer. And because I want more time with them, I'm actually considering homeschool. I think my husband will listen to this and be like, we didn't agree yet. But I have decided.
Telling the world.
I know. I know. It's going to make my pits sweat. But I really am considering homeschool because I'm in this, having had my 4th, and I'm a year postpartum now, it has made me reflect on everything. And I mean, there's been different versions of myself, right, after each pregnancy. But this one in particular has really got me thinking, when I have that 23-year-old, where on earth is she going to be? And oh my goodness, you just gave me so much hope that we could still be in the same house. But whatever that looks like, I know right now I have this time. And so, I have these dreams and ambitions just within my own household of wanting to be present and wanting to witness and be the supportive parent. My husband's job is extremely demanding. He's a gastroenterologist, and we're opening a clinic hopefully by next month.
Wow.
The doors will be open for that. So it's that busy season, right? And then I want to homeschool, and then I want to also still have clients of my own in my coaching space and in the birth working world. But you said ambition. And I think for me, ambition has, again, shifted tremendously because of this year postpartum and reflection. So how do I want it to be intentional? How do I want to be present? And mom needs to be able to show up fully in that wearing that hat. But also, if I don't feed my passion pulses and if I don't show up in my creative efforts, I'm like dimming my light, and then I can't show up in any of the other capacities. So hopefully that.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, ladies. I'm going to get rolling with one of our main questions. How has motherhood shaped the way you lead or show up in work, business, or even just life? Tia?
Okay, so motherhood has forced me to be in a position where I am micromanaging everybody's different schedules. I think of my house, or I think of my husband and my children as my shareholders. So anytime there's a calendar in place, I have to look to them first before we can add any outside things into that. And really, it's all about making sure we want to be in the spaces that we're in with a regulated nervous system. And when we're ready to leave, we're ready to leave. We don't necessarily have to stay at these places because it's expected of us, although maybe people are biting their tongues when I say that. But really, managing and figuring out what everyone's needs are kids-wise, my husband and also myself included. So when it comes to like blending that with business and work and the different places that we show up in, it really is about reading the room, but knowing where we're at first.
Thank you.
I love that. Yeah, Tia, managing a family is really like managing a business. So I love how you put that. For me, I think motherhood, especially, as a first-time mom and then a mom with little kids, I realized that I had to set the expectation for my children. I had to tell them what I expected of them, whether it was like, okay, you need to clean your room. If I set that expectation, I have to take a step back and be like, wait, do they know how to clean their room? Mm-hmm. If they don't, then I have to show them how to clean their room, set that expectation, and then hold them to it. And I'd say I apply that also in my business. When I have with my office manager who holds the office down while I'm doing work from home, I set the expectation. And actually for all of our employees, we set the expectation. This is what's expected of your position. We make sure that they've received all the training, that they can meet that expectation, and then we hold them accountable, right? So we have a really robust training program, and then we also have a performance evaluation program every year, so that it's like a continuous feedback kind of thing. So I'd say that's probably something that, as a mom, figuring that out has really helped me in my career managing people.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to loop this back to the neurodivergent world because it really informs how I see actually all people now. So in the probably years from when my daughter was about 3 until, it's just ongoing. So about 7 years now, there were some really big baffling behaviors and I didn't know what to do about them. So I had to do a lot of research and kind of came into this world of brain-based parenting, trauma-informed parenting, neurodivergent affirming parenting. And it's interesting, talking about nervous system regulation and what expectations are. When you have a child whose brain is different, you can, say, clean the room or show them how to clean the room. And, this morning I had to call my husband on the way here to just calm me down because we had a really rough morning. Just doing simple things like brushing hair and teeth can be nearly impossible, right? Mm-hmm. And so the thing that I often find with all of this information that I have about brain-based parenting and neuro-affirming parenting is that the techniques that you can use to regulate, they're actually good for everyone, right? And so I just find that it creates a lot more empathy for just everyone, right? We don't know what's happening behind someone's closed doors. If somebody doesn't know you, they don't know that you're dealing with a lot just to parent your kids. Mm-hmm. They may just see you in your work environment and make assumptions about what that means, but the 20 steps that you needed to get out the door with your kids can exhaust a person completely. And so I feel like all of that information lets me try to just feel a lot more empathy for everyone, whether it's, a Pilates student or, my kids at Mini Builders Club. I actually end up getting quite a few kids that are on some form of spectrum in there. And I think that some people would see those kids walk in the door and just be like, not happening. But I have a lot of tools that I can use. Now, in some instances, the child's needs have been too much for the public class environment. Mm-hmm. And I've had to have really sensitive conversations with those parents. But I have a lot of lingo that I can use that has come from my personal mothering experience of my child to be able to engage with those kids. And, even I teach the baby kids at Skip. I teach beginning ballet. And they, they're like, we can't find anyone that will teach the 3-year-olds. And I'm like, I got it, because I have so much experience with kids laying on the ground or licking the wall while I'm saying, no, we're skipping right now.
Thank you. She looked at me, for those who don't know, is both my boys are on the spectrum as well. And so one thing that was big for me was I learned patience. And I learned that a lot of things I did as a project manager and stuff also helped me with my children because of the research that went into like understanding things. Because, you know, when you have kids, you have expectations of how things will be, right? But that helped me along, and also that made me a stronger individual because then I've set up and remade my support system. And with that said, I'm going to throw it back to Tia's. How does your current support system look like now? Like, as a mother, has it changed since before you were a mom, or how have you built it?
I am really, really blessed with the support that I have. We recently relocated back to Guam 3 years ago. Is that recent? It feels recent. Before that, we were in Arizona and New Jersey. And even then, we've always had, I call them our adult children. We've always had some adult child living with us because they were going to school. And then when we were in Arizona, that's when we had our first daughter. So it has morphed into many different things because I'm definitely someone who will immediately say yes when somebody offers support and I need it. There's no, I don't fake it till I make it. I really am like, no, yes, I need your help. I have my baby and a cart at Ross and some man says, hey, can I help you? Absolutely. Please, my car's right here. But really, like, I think it's important when I look at what on earth do I need right now and who can I call, sometimes even who can I hire to help me with this? Because my mental health is extremely important and I'm very aware of my needs. So I'm grateful to have like the support of my in-laws. If all else fails, Mom, please stop by. I need you. What are you doing this day? Do you have any appointments? Because my son, right? Or whoever it is. But yeah, and then because I'm a year postpartum, I started taking more clients now because I felt like my son is at that age where I can, be gone for a couple of hours like this for right now. So I have that support system and I'm super grateful for it.
Yeah. I've also been very blessed. I had my first daughter in California and we moved here before she turned 2 because we didn't have family living in LA with us, but also we wanted to give her the Guam experience growing up. Guam is so great to grow up at. So we moved back. So me and my husband's family is here. And I feel like when the kids are little, that's when you really need a lot of support, right? Because they're little, you can't leave them at home anymore, right? So I was very lucky. My parents would take my kids every weekend for a sleepover. Wow. And that was it was once they got to be like, I think maybe my boy was like 3 or 4. So didn't need as much hands-on care, but every weekend. And that was just such a blessing for just me and my husband to have that like quiet time on ourselves. But it was also great for my parents. My dad has since passed, but that was such a gift that he gave us. He would actually call me and get mad if they weren't coming over for the weekend. But now that they're older, it's I can just leave them at home, not worry about it. My oldest 2 are driving, so I don't have to be as much of a chauffeur anymore. So I think maybe the support that I have these days, my mom is always there for us, and I think at this point it's more of like an emotional support, for me. Also, she plays such a important role for my kids. My kids go to her and share everything with her. So I think at this phase of our life, that's the support that I'm so grateful for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention my kids. Since we're talking about motherhood, I have 2 kids. My oldest is 17, going to be a senior. And my youngest is 10, going into 5th grade. You and I probably have a lot to relate on this. You are a mother of children on the spectrum. My youngest is not diagnosed with anything, but she is adopted and exhibits a lot of behaviors that could fall under a lot of these neurodivergent umbrellas. And that could be a whole other podcast about trauma-informed parenting and trauma-informed ways of working and being. So I find this a fascinating question. I feel like in the last year or two, I call it my aging and raging phase of life. I've always, felt like a feminist, but I grew up in a very interesting religious environment that definitely had and continues to have impacts on just how I see myself, how I see motherhood, work, what we consider, paid work, unpaid work. But I feel like ever since the Epstein files have been just rolling out, I just have felt this bubbling sense of rage. And last month, I led the book club for the Women's Chamber. And the book that I chose is about patriarchy. And a lot of these bigger questions, I feel like one of the things that we need to enter into conversation about is how, the feminist movement, there are different waves and they're all important and all needed. But I feel like we've sort of plateaued on the one of where women just inserted themselves into this patriarchal system that says success, build, all these things need to go in a certain way, but it's also very much based around a male-oriented way of working. And as women and caregivers, mothers, I find those two systems are in deep conflict with each other. And it also asks women to sacrifice a lot of themselves to be able to, become the CFO, but also don't act like you have 4 kids at home. And then mother, like you don't have all these other responsibilities. So I'm in just really big questions around this question that you're asking, what is success? What is it? Because I think we've come to a stereotypical point of, and I think it's Sheryl Sandberg wrote the book Lean In, and I actually don't buy into that, because what that says is women just push harder to be in the spaces that you want to be in. But where are the cultural and societal supports that allow women to do those things? I joke that I do these jobbies, but they don't pay enough to pay the rent, right? And all of this system works on the fact that my husband can earn enough money to support the family, but that also puts a lot of pressure on him. And so I think that, we don't have a lot of wider safety nets, especially for me. I'm not from Guam. My family doesn't live here. I don't have anyone if something goes wrong, right? I don't even have someone that I can call as a babysitter, right? I don't have babysitters. I have my 17-year-old, which is great. But there is a lot of siloing, I think. We used to parent in community, and we don't anymore. And I feel like maybe that's the bigger picture, is how we can find ways to parent more in community.
Next question is, in leadership, business, or motherhood, what version of perfect have you had to let go of? And then second question is, how have you given yourself grace when you cannot be everywhere or everything to everyone?
Yeah. Okay, what version of perfect I've let go of? All of them. Okay, there's no such thing as perfect. But I think, and I tell my kids this too, if you tried your best and you have the right heart and your mind was into it, then that's all you can hope for. And that's all you should expect of yourself. So I think just with that mindset, that allows me to give me grace. And also, we're human, and I understand we're human. And so as a mother, I make mistakes. But once I make those mistakes, for me, it's all about the repair, then I go back and I repair it with my child. And also in work, you know, I'll make mistakes. And I have the best office manager, Darlene. She will WhatsApp me and be like, Ms. Pika, what about this? And I'm like, oh, yes, girl, you're the best. Thanks for getting my back. So I think it's just an understanding that, hey, I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. Once I figure it out, I repair it and learn from it.
Yeah. Marnie?
Yeah, I get anxious even thinking about that question, meaning I think I'm incredibly hard on myself. I mean, I know everyone is, but I think I have a particularly rude brand. I said to my husband today on the way here, I was like, when you open your eyes in the morning, like what's going on inside of your brain? Is it spacious? Is it busy? Is it heavy? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, mine feels like 20 pinball machines going off at the same time. Just ding, 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 ding. There's just constant dialogue. And a lot of it is negative. And then you can make yourself feel badly, like, oh, you have negative thoughts. You're bad, right? So I think one thing that I've learned, especially as it relates to the parenting and motherhood thing, is that just being okay with what is, like there can be almost too much, oh, I can better myself. And not to say that we shouldn't, but it can become just one more thing to say, you know, oh, I could, if I got this coach or if I got this job or if I got this thing, then I'd be, you know, X. So, but linking back to what you were talking about repair, I think that's also one of the bigger things about, perfection does not exist, but what do you do when it's clearly not ideal? And this concept of rupture and repair, I think, is one of the greatest gifts that we can give our kids. That is, as long as you tried your best, and apply that to myself. Was I trying my best? I was, and it didn't add up in that moment. But I'm here to say, you know, I'm sorry, and next time we'll try this.
Thank you.
I feel like perfect, like when you say the word perfect, I can identify and be self-aware that it would be my 8, 9, 10 preteen self who hears that word when you say it. And that version of me no longer exists, and she feels so much safer now. So that there is no perfect. I get to show up authentically as myself in whatever space that I'm in and just be. And I think also in relation to that, right, those versions, that age of myself remembers that she tried to fit into a box. And I am not able to fit into any box whatsoever. And in fact, I do everybody around me a disservice when I do that. So I can't be. I've peeled back the layers of what it means to be at this standard perfect level, whatever that is. Who said it needed to be that way? And when people know me, they know that I question everything. So I am that deep thinker. And I'm going to continue to peel back the layers of who said that and why does it need to be that way? So when it comes to giving myself grace, I give myself grace all the time, especially with my children, because I recognize where I was not regulated. I maybe was at my mental capacity of whatever it is, and I certainly have to repair. And that is the most important part, is the repairing, right? I don't even know, but I'm going to just touch on this real quick, right? When I work with clients, I have found that I want to know their story. I want to know what's behind the surface level. And I'm really in tune with whatever that is. I want to show up for them and make them know that they have support. And then when it came to my children, if I was short-tempered or they got the shorter end of the stick, I had to really ask myself, what on earth is the reason why I would do that for a stranger or somebody else or my client, but I'm not actively doing that with my children? That's when the major shift happened. And that's when I realized no more box, no more perfectionism, whatever. My biggest goal, me being a life coach is me being a mother. Me being a soul guide is me freaking guiding those kids and showing up better than I would show up for anybody else right here and right now. So if there's any kind of perfect thing, it's try to be as presently perfect as I can. Perfectly present?
Yeah.
Perfectly present with my children instead.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to put my 2 cents in is that for me, what version of perfect I let go of was the definition of perfect because I felt like wherever I am right now is perfect enough for me right now.
Yeah.
And that led me to creating kind of my idea of giving grace was setting the boundaries to keep it where it is perfect for me and my children and my work environment. So segueing to boundaries. And I'm like, I wanted to find out what boundaries have you created around time, energy, and availability? And what was one boundary that you wish you had earlier?
Okay, so let's see. The boundaries, I think it really just has to do with my time, right? And in order to, I guess, set those boundaries, I have to have a really clear understanding of what's expected from me, whether that's at home or in my different roles at work. I have to understand what's expected of me so that I, like, as a mom at home and then with work, those are my boundaries. And then, as you know, with the work, things really ebb and flow. And so, for a while, right, I set those boundaries, said, okay, this is all I'm doing. You know, the kids are so busy with sports and games, and I never miss a game and all of that. I'm not as active, for instance, in the women's chamber. I was a board member for 3 years back in the day, but I'm still a member, but I'm not as active because I had to set those time boundaries for myself. But it's also like being realistic and saying, okay, I have all of this, my plate is full, but then when I see there's like a little opening, and then I see an opportunity that I really want to do, I will make it happen. And then I like expand my boundary to include that. So for instance, last year, my boy goes to Fenidokin Tomoru, which is the Chamorro Immersion Elementary School. And they wanted to create the first parent-teacher organization, and I stepped up to form the organization and then become its president this first year. And it's been so fulfilling to see the organization grow and all the ways that we're now supporting the students and teachers. But it was a very conscious decision that I made, and I saw like, okay, I have a little bit of space and time in my day. I can take it on and run with it. But I also knew it was time bound. I knew my term is up at the end of June, so at the end of this month. And I'm going to make it all the way there, and then I'm going to like happily pass it on to the next president. So there's my boundaries.
Oh, wait, what was one boundary you wish you had earlier?
I mean, I guess it doesn't really have to do with time, but maybe energy. I think, when I was younger, I was the chairperson for the Chamorro Land Trust, and I kind of wish that I was stronger in my voice to stand up against strong negative voices, How's it?
Yeah. I think looking back, I would say that I let motherhood swallow me. And part of that has to do with the fact that we've always just lived very far from anyone or any support systems. So, and having a husband with a very demanding career, that just puts it all on me. And I feel to my detriment, I probably should have found ways to maybe hire someone or, find more ways to create a boundary more around what I needed for me to be able to do in terms of some sort of paid work. And I think that I'm getting better at doing, finding more ways to do that. But, at the end of the day, somebody's got to be picked up at 3:00 and somebody's got to be driven to this activity and that activity. And, you become an Uber driver, right? So I don't think I've done the best at creating sort of both going on at the same time. But, as kids get older, older ones drive and whatnot, you do find that there's flexibility and you just try to make it work how you can in that moment. Yeah.
I think for me, it's about clarity. Can I get clear on what I need in that moment. So I love that you said energy too, because that is where I do my energy audits often. Do I have mental capacity for this? Do I have space? Can I oftentimes tell people who want to chat with me, whether it's friends or clients, like send me a voice text and know that I'll get back to you in a day or 3. I don't know, but I will get back to you when I have the capacity. And that has been a vocal thing for me too, right? To utilize my voice, to speak up and say what my needs are. Because for a while, especially in those early years of motherhood, I felt like I was drowning. Probably had some postpartum depression and rage up in there. Definitely had postpartum rage with my second. But, I didn't necessarily know what my needs were because the overwhelm from everything else was just so loud.
Yeah.
So having the self-awareness to see, okay, let me get clear on what my needs are. Let me get clear on what I even want to do. And then create the boundary from there because I know what's within my reach and what I can handle. And then maybe the past version of me to know that all I needed to do was pause. All I needed to do was freaking pause and sit with myself for a moment, allow myself to feel whatever it was, allow myself to maybe get a little self-aware. I've never been afraid to turn inward and see what the heck was going on, but the pause was essential, and I wish I could have told her that before.
Thank you for that, Tia. Speaking of younger selves, I wanted to kind of close with a reflection question of what message would you like to send to young moms with ambition, and what would you like them to take away from today?
I think I would just say to give yourself some time, like actually carve out the time to get clear on what it is that you want. If you are in a season of motherhood and that's where you want to be right now, and you can create a space for you to do that, then do it. If you are also ambitious and you have maybe you're an entrepreneurial spirit or you're trying to advance in your career, you can do that too. Literally, you could do anything that you want to do. It's just a matter of you getting clarity on what that is, and you will find your way. And I think an encouraging point is there hasn't been anybody that I've ever talked to who has said that they've never made it in whatever hard season. There is always evidence over your life that has shown that you've made it to at least this point, this place. So you can do it. You will always find a way. And what do you actually want that to look like for yourself?
Thank you.
I love that. I think the clarity is so important, like you said, like make space, figure out what you want. And if it is something entrepreneurial, I guess my advice would be you got to calculate the risks. You have to understand if you want to be an entrepreneur, you've got to take a risk and you have to be okay with risk as long as you've done your homework and calculated the risk. Whether that's crunching numbers to see if the finances would work out for this new business, or it's looking at your support system and understanding that as you pour your time into this new endeavor, you have the support system in place so that the rest of your life doesn't kind of fall through the cracks. So I'd say that would be my advice.
Thank you.
I would say that everything has an opportunity cost, and kind of linking with what Tia said, you just have to know what those costs are, and they're not indefinite. But when you have a nursing newborn, your job is to sit on the couch and make the milk, right? Like there are ways to manage around certain seasons, but yeah, there is a cost. You will need to step back from something in order to push more into something else. And learning to be okay with, what pedal is pushed more or less, I think. And then that also links back to what are the supports that you can create to have the experience that you want. And then I think the last thing that I would say is overall that don't forget that that being a mother is actually a job and a role and a title, and I don't think it is unpaid labor, and there is a lot that is expected, and that society literally stands on our unpaid labor. And don't forget, even if society doesn't give you credit for that, absolutely give yourself the credit for that.
Amen.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, now for the fun part. I mean, the whole thing was fun, but this is kind of like our rapid fire round. So here I want you to give one word, no more than 3 words for the other questions as I as I asked you for, okay? Like, and just kind of a quick response. Maybe we'll go kind of like, Tia, are you okay to start again? We'll just kind of like, okay. One word for your current season of life.
Busy.
Fun.
Confused.
Calendar, notebook, phone reminders, or pure survival mode.
Calendar and phone.
Calendar with a notebook.
Pure survival.
Coffee, tea, or water bottle. What did you forget in the car?
I didn't forget anything.
A water bottle.
All the things.
One thing in your bag that proves you're a mom and a businesswoman, or both.
Ooh. I pack it light. You said 3 words.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
A reusable bag.
Legos.
Your catchphrase that you say to your kids or your team all the time.
You are allowed to.
You got this.
Just try your best.
One thing you're finally done apologizing for. I know everyone takes a moment there.
Right?
Well, me's being late.
Wait, somebody else go.
Saying no to certain things that come up.
Yeah, you could be more than 3 words for this one.
Saying no.
Being a mess, but trying anyway.
Going deep.
I mean, I know Tia answered this earlier, but text back immediately 3 days later, or you mentally replied.
Whenever I'm ready.
Yeah, when it's time.
Replied in my head.
What is your current survival mode snack during busy weeks or days?
Apple with a string cheese.
Nice. My afternoon matcha.
I do love a good drink. Hojicha. Hojicha.
What is one small joy you protect?
Working out.
Oh, taking in the beauty of nature.
Automatically thought of my son. So to pause and make connection.
Okay, this is more than 3 words, but what's one thing you hope more women give themselves permission to do?
Take up space.
Take care of their bodies.
Regulate their nervous systems.
One thing you want to be remembered for beyond your title.
Both. That I showed up, and when I was present, I was all there.
And last one is one piece of advice you'd give another woman who is entering the demanding season.
Rest is just as important as work.
Be nice to yourself.
The pause. Remember the pause.
Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies. I want to give you time for you to address the viewers. If you want to tell something to them and also kind of tell them about your business or how to reach you. Marnie first.
Okay, so I run Mini Builders Club, and we do weekend Lego and block and brick building experiences for kids. You can find me on Instagram at Mini Builders Club.
You can follow my businesses at Market Deli Guam, also at Denancy Drizzle, and at Calibus Farms.
And you can find me at Waidua Wellness. I offer free connection calls, whether that is for coaching or doula services. You could find me all over the place in terms of women who are needing support. And that's a little difficult to spell, so hopefully it's in the show notes. But otherwise, just reach out, send a message, and we'll connect.
Thank you again, Tia, Pika, and Marnie. That wraps our episode for the GWCC Women Rising podcast. And don't forget to stay back and hit my recap. As we close today's episode of Women's Rising, I want to thank Tia, Marnie, and Pika for joining us and for sharing their time, their stories, and their honesty with us. Today's conversation was such an important reminder that ambition and motherhood are not opposite paths. They can exist together, they can shape each other, and sometimes motherhood gives our ambition more purpose, more patience, and more meaning. I hope this conversation reminded you that success does not have to look perfect to be powerful. At the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, we believe in creating space for women to rise in every season of life. That includes the seasons where we are growing, learning, rebuilding, resting, leading, mothering, and redefining what success means for ourselves. Follow us on social media at Guam Women's Chamber to stay connected and learn more about our upcoming events, including our monthly meetings, glow hours, workshops, SIPS event, and of course, our Fanapsu Famalawan. Thank you again to our guests for being part of this conversation. May we continue to support one another, make room for honest conversations, and remind women across our island that we do not rise alone. We rise in community, we rise in season, and together we are Women Rising.
Women Rising on the KUAM Podcast Network is produced by the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. Learn more about the GWCC by visiting their website, www.guamwomenschamber.com, or any of their social media accounts. Join us next month for another episode.